If you can't handle my friends, then leave, she said before her weekend trip with a guy from her office. I replied, enjoy yourself, and watched her leave. I packed while she was gone. Left a note that read, did what you suggested. She came back crying for me. But I was already gone. I, 30, male, had been with Jessica, 28, for 3 years. We'd been living together for 1. That Friday morning, standing in our kitchen while she packed her overnight bag, I watched her toss in a red dress I'd never seen her wear around me. She glanced up, caught my expression, and said the words that would end us. If you can't handle my friends, then leave. I looked at her calmly and replied, enjoy yourself. She blinked, clearly expecting a fight, but I'd already made my decision. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway at 9:47 a.m., I started packing. By Sunday night, when she walked back through that door expecting me home, she'd find half-empty rooms, my keys on the counter, and a single note that read, did what you suggested. 2 weeks earlier, Jessica had announced this weekend trip. Casual tone, like she was mentioning grocery shopping. Some people from the office are going to that lake resort. I'm heading up Friday, back Sunday night. I'd asked who was going. She'd rattled off names, including Mark. Mark, the guy from her department who texted her at 10 p.m. about work stuff. Mark, whose name came up in every third conversation. Mark, who somehow needed her opinion on presentations, coffee orders, and whether he should get a dog. You've been spending a lot of time with him, I'd said. She'd rolled her eyes. He's a coworker. You're being insecure. That word, insecure. It was her favorite shutdown whenever I raised concerns. 6 months ago, I would have apologized. 6 months ago, I would have convinced myself she was right. But lately, I'd started noticing patterns. Jessica and I met through mutual friends at a birthday party in 2022. She was confident, funny, quick with a joke that made the whole room laugh. I was quieter, steadier. She said she liked that about me. You're solid, she'd told me on our 4th date. Everyone else is exhausting. For the first 2 years, things worked. We balanced each other. She brought energy to my calm. I brought stability to her chaos. We moved in together after 18 months. Got a 2-bedroom apartment in Riverside, split the rent down the middle, adopted a cat named Biscuit. The shift started last fall when she switched departments at work. New team, new projects, new people. She came home buzzing with stories about her coworkers. Mark's name appeared in week 2. At first, it was innocent. Mark suggested this marketing angle. Mark made the funniest comment in the meeting. I didn't think much of it. She'd always been social. Then came the texting. Evening texts during our movie nights. Morning texts before work. Lunch hour texts that made her smile at her phone instead of at me across the table. When I mentioned it, she got defensive. We're working on a campaign together. It's collaborative. I wanted to believe her. I did believe her mostly, but there were small things. The way she angled her phone away when I walked by. The way she laughed at his messages, a different laugh than the one she used with me. The way she started dressing up for work days when Mark would be in the office. 3 months ago, she started going to after-work drinks with the team. She'd come home at 10 p.m., sometimes 11. When I asked how it went, she'd give vague answers. Just the usual crowd. But when I asked if Mark was there, she'd pause just a beat too long before saying yes. I wasn't the jealous type. I'd never checked her phone, never demanded passwords, never asked her to cut people off. But I also wasn't blind. Something was changing. She was pulling away, one text at a time. The trip announcement came on a Tuesday night. I was cooking dinner. She was scrolling her phone. Hey, so there's this lake resort thing. Group from work. I'm thinking of going. I set down the spatula. When? This weekend. Friday to Sunday. Who's organizing it? Just some people. Her tone was casual, but she wouldn't look at me. Mark, Sarah, Dev, couple others. There it was. Mark. You're going on a weekend trip with Mark? She finally looked up, her expression already defensive. It's a group trip. Don't make it weird. I'm not making it weird. I'm asking a question. And I answered it. Yes, Mark's going. So are 4 other people. It's not like we're sharing a room. The way she said it, like she'd rehearsed the line, made my stomach drop. Are you sharing a room? Jesus Christ. She stood up. See, this is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. You always do this. Do what? Ask basic questions. Act insecure. Act controlling. She grabbed her phone. I'm going. It's already paid for. If you can't handle me having friends, that's a you problem. I kept my voice level. I've never said you can't have friends. But you've been distant for months. You're constantly texting this guy. Now you're taking a weekend trip with him. You can see how that looks. How it looks? Her laugh was sharp. You know what? I'm tired of walking on eggshells around your feelings. If you can't handle my friends, then leave. The kitchen went quiet except for the sizzle of vegetables burning in the pan behind me. I turned off the stove, looked at her standing there, phone clutched in her hand like a shield, eyes daring me to argue. I could have fought, could have demanded she cancel, could have laid out every red flag, every late text, every deflection. But I was suddenly, completely tired. Tired of feeling like I was the problem for noticing problems. Tired of being called insecure for having eyes. Enjoy yourself, I said quietly. She blinked. What? The trip? Enjoy yourself. She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. She'd wanted a fight. Wanted me to get angry so she could call me controlling, so she could justify whatever was happening. But I wasn't giving her that. That's it, she asked. What else do you want me to say? She opened her mouth, closed it. Fine. I'll enjoy myself then. She walked out, went to the bedroom, and slammed the door. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the ruined stir-fry. Something had just broken. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet crack, like ice splitting on a frozen lake. And I realized I was done trying to fix what she'd already decided to shatter. The rest of that week, Jessica acted like nothing had happened. Wednesday morning, she asked me to pass the coffee creamer, voice bright and normal. I handed it to her. Thursday night, she chatted about her day while I nodded along. She was testing me, I realized. Seeing if I'd bring up the trip again, give her a reason to pick another fight. I didn't bite. Friday morning came. She was up early, showering, blow-drying her hair. I heard her humming in the bathroom. When she came out, she was wearing makeup. The good kind, the kind she used to wear on our date nights before date nights became, I'm tired, can we just watch TV? She packed her bag on the bed while I pretended to read on my phone. Skincare stuff. The red dress. A black swimsuit I'd never seen. Heels, for a lake resort. Okay, she said, zipping up her bag. I'm heading out. I'll be back Sunday night, probably around 8 or 9. Drive safe, I said. She hesitated at the door, looking at me like she still expected resistance. When I just smiled and waved, she frowned slightly. Okay, bye, Jess. The door closed. I waited until I heard her car start, listened to it back out of the driveway, counted to 60 to make sure she didn't circle back for something she forgot. Then I stood up and got to work. I'd already done the research. Storage unit booked, $89 for the month. New apartment complex, had a 1-bedroom ready for move-in on Monday, first month already paid. I transferred my half of our shared savings Wednesday night while she slept. Changed my direct deposit Thursday morning. This wasn't impulsive. This was calculated. I started with my clothes. Packed them into boxes I'd hidden in my car, trunk the night before. Took down my books from the shared shelf. My gaming console. My kitchen stuff, the pots and pans I'd brought when we moved in. Everything that was mine, piece by piece, loaded into my car and driven to the storage unit on Porter Street. First trip done by 1 p.m. Grabbed lunch, came back. Second trip, I took my desk, my office chair, the picture frames that were actually my family, not ours. The TV from the bedroom, the one I'd bought before we even met. By 6 p.m., the apartment looked gutted. Not empty, because her stuff was still there, but hollowed out. You could see the exact shape of my absence. The bookshelf with gaps. The living room missing the side table. The bedroom with only one nightstand. I saved Biscuit for last. Packed his carrier, his food, his litter box. He meowed at me while I loaded him into the car, confused. I know, buddy, I said. But we're going somewhere better. Sunday morning, I came back one final time. Walked through with my phone, recording every room to document the condition I'd left it in. Clean, undamaged, just missing me. I set my keys on the kitchen counter. Next to them, I placed a single piece of paper. Did what you suggested. That was it. No explanation. No bitterness. Just her own words, handed back to her. I locked the door from inside, slipped out through the patio, and left it unlocked for her return. Drove to my new apartment across town. Unloaded the essentials, set up the bed, fed Biscuit. Sat on the couch in the quiet. My phone buzzed at 8:43 p.m. Jessica, calling. I let it ring. Then another call. Then texts started flooding in. Jessica, where are you? Jessica, why is half the apartment empty? Jessica, Did you seriously move out? Jessica, call me. I muted her number, ordered pizza, turned on a movie. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Update 1. Sunday night, 8:47 p.m. Jessica walked into our apartment, probably expecting me on the couch, maybe still a little cold from the argument, but ready to talk. Instead, she found silence. She'd later tell our mutual friends she thought I'd gone to the gym at first. Then she saw the living room, walked into the bedroom, checked the office. With each room, the reality set in. I wasn't at the gym. I was gone. Her first call came at 8:51 p.m. I was 3 slices into my pizza, watching some action movie I'd been meaning to catch. My phone lit up with her name. I watched it buzz, watched it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Then the text started. Jessica, this isn't funny. Jessica, you can't just leave without talking. Jessica, we need to discuss this like adults. I almost laughed at that last one. Discuss it like adults. The same conversation she'd shut down with, if you can't handle my friends, then leave. I'd handled it. I'd left. What was there to discuss? More calls. I counted 12 in the first hour. Then they stopped. I figured she'd given up, maybe called a friend to vent. But at 11:34 p.m., my phone buzzed with a different kind of message. Jessica, I know I messed up. Please come home so we can talk. I'm sorry. Sorry. There it was. The word she'd refused to say when it might have mattered. Now, when I was already settled into a new place with my cat purring next to me, she was sorry. I didn't respond. Turned my phone face down and went to sleep. Best sleep I'd had in 6 months. Monday morning, I woke up to 23 new messages. Some from Jessica, some from our mutual friends. She'd clearly started calling in reinforcements. Ben. Hey man, just called me freaking out. What happened? Sarah M. Jessica said you moved out? Are you okay? Kevin. Dude, she's really upset. Maybe you should talk to her. I replied to Ben only, because he'd been my friend first. She told me to leave if I couldn't handle her friends. I left. That's it. His response came fast. Wait, she actually said that. Word for word. That's cold, man. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. And I was. Surprisingly, genuinely good. Update 2. Tuesday morning, Jessica showed up at my office. I work at a tech company downtown, 3rd floor, cubicle near the windows. I was in a meeting when my coworker Amy knocked on the conference room door. Hey, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. I excused myself, walked to the lobby, and there she was. Eyes red, makeup smudged, wearing the same clothes she'd probably slept in. People were staring. We need to talk, she said. I'm at work. I don't care. You can't just ghost me like this. I'm not ghosting you. I left. Like you suggested. Her face crumpled. I didn't mean it. I was upset. You know I didn't mean it. Did you not mean the words? Or did you not mean for me to actually do it? She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Please, just come back. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through. You made a choice. I made mine. What about the apartment? The lease is in both our names. You can't just bail on rent. There it was. Not what about us, but what about rent? I pulled out my phone, showed her the bank transfer I'd made Sunday night. My half of next month's rent and utilities sent directly to the landlord with a note that I'd be off the lease effective immediately. You're covered, I said. I'm not bailing on anything. She stared at the screen. You really planned this. While I was gone, you just planned all of this. You gave me the whole weekend. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Her voice cracked, loud enough that my coworker Tom glanced over from the printer. That's not my problem, Jess. So that's it. 3 years, and you're just done. You were done first. You just wanted me to be the one who looked bad for walking away. She didn't have an answer for that. She stood there, tears streaming down her face, waiting for me to break. To say, okay, fine, let's talk. To be the one who gave in, like I always had before. I didn't. I need to get back to work, I said. Turned around, walked back to the elevator, and didn't look back. Heard her crying in the lobby. Heard the receptionist asking if she was okay. By the time I got back to my desk, she was gone. That afternoon, the texts started coming from a different angle. Jessica, Mark and I aren't together. We didn't do anything. It was just a group trip. Jessica, you ruined everything over nothing. Jessica, I hope you're happy. You threw away what we had because you couldn't trust me. The messages were filled with anger now, not sadness. The grief phase had ended. Now came the blame phase. It was my fault. My insecurity. My inability to handle her having friends. I blocked her number. Not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. I was tired of being the bad guy in her story. Update 3. Wednesday, I got a message from Sarah, one of Jessica's coworkers. We'd met a few times at company events. She wasn't close with Jessica, more of a work acquaintance. Sarah L. Hey, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I thought you should know. Jessica and Mark shared a room at the resort. I heard them arguing about it Sunday morning before we left. She was mad he wasn't being clear about what they were. He looked uncomfortable. There it was. Confirmation. Not that I needed it anymore. The knowing didn't hurt the way I thought it would. Instead, I just felt validated. My instincts had been right. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. Me. Thanks for telling me. I appreciate it. Sarah L. For what it's worth, you seem like a good guy. She talked about you sometimes. Always complained you were too stable or too predictable. Some of us took that as code for he's actually decent and I'm bored. I thanked her again, then sat with that information. Too stable. Too predictable. Translation, I didn't play games. Didn't manufacture drama. Didn't give her the chaos she apparently craved. And Mark? Poor Mark probably thought he was getting the fun, spontaneous Jessica. He'd learned soon enough that chaos isn't a personality trait. It's a red flag. Thursday, I heard through Ben that Jessica had tried to move in with Mark. He'd turned her down. Apparently, a weekend fling wasn't the same as a commitment, and Jessica's assumption that they were together now had freaked him out. Ben, she's asking around about people who need roommates. Apparently can't afford the apartment on her own. Me, not my problem. Ben, cold man, but fair. Friday, I got an email. From Jessica, because I'd blocked her number. Subject line, please read. I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. I don't know what Sarah told you, but it's not what you think. Mark and I didn't plan to share a room. The resort messed up the bookings. We didn't even do anything. We just talked. I know how it looks, but I swear nothing happened. I see now that I pushed you away. I was selfish. I took you for granted. I thought you'd always be there, so I didn't appreciate what I had. I miss you. I miss Biscuit. I miss coming home to you. Please, can we just talk? I read it twice. Looking for the apology, the actual ownership. All I found were excuses. The resort messed up. Nothing happened. I pushed you away, like it was accidental. She missed me the way you miss a comfortable couch. Familiar. Convenient. Safe. I didn't reply. 3 weeks later, I heard from Kevin that Jessica had moved back in with her parents. The apartment lease was up in 2 months, and she couldn't swing the rent solo. Mark had apparently started dating someone else from their office. Jessica had filed an HR complaint about workplace harassment, which went nowhere because text records showed she'd initiated most of their conversations. Her social media told its own story. The first week after I left, her posts were vague and sad. Sometimes people give up too easily. Know your worth. The kind of posts designed to make me look like the villain. But by week 3, the posts changed. Can't believe I wasted 3 years. Men are trash. The classic breakup arc of someone who refused to look inward. Meanwhile, my life got quieter. Better. I set up my new apartment exactly how I wanted it. Hung up posters Jessica had always vetoed as too nerdy. Bought the gaming chair I'd put off getting because she said it was a waste of money. Started going to the gym again, something I'd let slide during the last months of our relationship when I was too tired from walking on eggshells. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. Tom from work invited me to his weekly basketball games. I said yes. We grabbed beers after, talked about nothing important, laughed. It felt normal. Easy. One Saturday, I ran into Jessica at the grocery store. She was in the produce section, looking at avocados. I almost turned around, but she'd already seen me. Hey, she said. Hey. Silence. She looked different. Tired. The kind of tired that comes from realizing you made a mistake you can't undo. How have you been? She asked. Good. You. Surviving. She gave a weak laugh. Moved back with my parents. It's temporary. That's good. More silence. I think about you sometimes, she said quietly. Wonder if I made a mistake. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the girl I'd loved for 3 years, the one who used to laugh at my jokes and steal fries off my plate and curl up next to me during movies. But I also saw the girl who'd chosen drama over stability, chaos over peace, her ego over our relationship. You did make a mistake, I said. but not the one you think. She blinked. What do you mean? Your mistake wasn't me leaving. It was assuming I'd stay no matter how you treated me. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I know. Can we try again? Start over. I shook my head. No. Why not? People make mistakes. People grow. Some mistakes aren't about growth. They're about showing who you really are. You showed me, Jess. And I believed you. She stood there, holding an avocado, tears running down her face. I felt bad for her, genuinely. But I didn't feel bad enough to go back. Take care of yourself, I said. Pushed my cart past her and continued shopping. That was the last time we spoke. Final closure. 6 months later, I was sitting in my apartment, Biscuit asleep on the couch next to me. I'd just gotten back from a weekend trip to the mountains with Tom and some guys from the basketball league. We'd hiked, camped, told stupid stories around the fire. It was simple, fun, the kind of fun I'd forgotten existed. My phone buzzed. Ben, hey, saw Jess is engaged. Thought you should know before you see it on Facebook. I opened the app, scrolled to her profile. There it was. A photo of her and some guy I didn't recognize, her hand prominently displayed with a ring. The caption read, "When you know, you know. Can't wait to marry my best friend." For months. She'd been with this guy for 4 months, according to the comments. I felt nothing. No anger, no jealousy, no regret. Just a mild curiosity about whether this guy knew what he was signing up for. Then I closed the app and forgot about it. The note I'd left, "Did what you suggested," had been the cleanest ending I could have given her. No arguments, no drama, no back and forth. She'd drawn a line in the sand, and I'd stepped over it. Permanently. People used to ask me if I regretted how I handled it. If I wished I'd fought harder, tried counseling, given her another chance. My answer was always the same. She told me to leave. So I left. Some people thought that was cold. They didn't understand that staying would have been colder. Staying would have meant accepting that I was worth less than her need for chaos. That my feelings were negotiable. That respect was something I had to earn instead of something owed. I'd rather be alone than be someone's backup plan. I'd rather have an empty apartment I filled with things I loved than a full one where I had to apologize for existing. Jessica taught me something valuable in the end. She taught me that words have consequences. That boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. That when someone shows you who they are, you should believe them the first time. The weekend she'd left for that trip, I'd packed up 3 years of my life. But what I'd really packed up was self-respect. And when I walked out that door for the last time, I took it with me. Some rings start wars. Some trips end relationships. And some notes, just 4 words long, say everything that needs to be said. I did what she suggested. And I've never looked back.